Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm looking back at the mega hit TV series MASH, and more specifically, actor Jeff Maxwell, who began his television career as a TV executive and gave that up to serve food in the mess tent at the MASH 4077. Now, MASH originated as a novel in 1968, written by author Richard Hooker, who based the books upon his time as an army surgeon during the Korean War. Then, the novel was adapted to a film starring Donald Sutherland and Elliott Gould and directed by Robert Altman in 1970. And the movie was a huge hit. So in 1972, MASH made its way to television screens and would go on to be one of the most popular television shows of all time. A little bit about Jeff Maxwell. While in high school, he and a friend formed a comedy duo called Garrett and Maxwell, which lasted for nearly 7 years. And after that, Jeff started finding work in the film and television industry. His first acting role was in the MASH episode titled 5 O'Clock Charlie from the second season, and the character would then become known as Private Igor Straminsky. He would appear in a total of 7 episodes in that second season of MASH. Now, Private Igor would appear in more episodes than any other recurring character except for Nurse Kelly, played by Kelly Nakahara. Now, he would appear on and off the show throughout the series, including the series finale in 1983. He would appear in 83 episodes in total, often as a background player, but he generally had a line or two, usually during interactions with the residents of the 4077 who would complain about the food he was serving them at the mess tent. Perhaps one of the most memorable of those interactions being between he and Hawkeye, after he informs Hawkeye that the dinner options are going to be liver or fish, and Hawkeye freaks out and tells Igor that since he's been at the MASH unit, he's eaten a river of liver and an ocean of fish, and he then proceeds to get everyone in the mess tent to chant, "We want something else." Now, this episode is called Adam's Ribs, and it is absolutely one of my favorite episodes of the series. While working on MASH, Jeff would also appear in a couple of movies on the silver screen. In 1974, he would have his first appearance in a film as a medical student of Dr. Frankenstein in the Mel Brooks comedy Young Frankenstein. Then in 1977, he would appear in the John Landis directed comedy Kentucky Fried Movie in a sketch titled See You Next Wednesday in Feel Around. Kentucky Fried Movie ranks as number 87 in Bravo's list of the top 100 funniest movies of all time. Jeff Maxwell was also one of the recurring actors to have a part in the series finale of MASH, titled Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen.
Attention all personnel, the war is over. MASH is going home. Next.
You call me a taxi, I'll be on my way.
Share their touching goodbyes and their new beginnings.
I'll never forget you.
MASH, the end of an era, a 2.5-hour special.
I'll miss you.
The laughs and tears, the final farewells, next. That is all.
That episode held the title of the most watched television broadcast in American history from 1983 through 2010, and it still stands as the most watched finale of any television series. Now, after MASH went off the air, Maxwell would appear in just a few more movies and TV shows, including the police comedy Night Patrol from 1984, in which he plays a flasher that is being held in prison. He also was in the Paul Reiser film Odd Jobs from 1986, The New Gidget in 1987, and Divorce, the musical from 2001. In 1997, Jeff Maxwell released a book called The Secrets of the MASH Mess, The Lost Recipes of Private Igor, a memory book and cookbook filled with memorable dialogue from the show, photographs, and behind-the-scenes anecdotes. This book has a hilarious foreword written by Alan Alda from the perspective of Captain Benjamin Franklin Pierce, and as you can imagine, he doesn't have too many nice things to say about the recipes that are to be found within the book. In 2018, Jeff Maxwell and friend Ryan Patrick started a podcast called MASH Matters, where they have a lively discussion of all things MASH, often with guests from the show such as Alan Alda, Gary Berghoff, and Loretta Swit. Now, if you're a fan of the TV show MASH, and I'm guessing you are since you're here watching this video, then you owe it to yourself to subscribe to this podcast from your favorite podcast outlet. It is outstanding. And Jeff can also be seen occasionally at Comic-Con type of conventions, oftentimes with other MASH cast members. Here's one last picture of Jeff Maxwell with Kelly Nakahara, the two recurring characters who appeared in more episodes than any other recurring character other than the main cast. Now, I love MASH. I was a huge fan of the early seasons of the show, but I also love how it continued to evolve over the course of the 11 seasons it was on the air. And while the main characters were all excellent, the recurring characters such as Nurse Kelly or Private Igor added so much to the overall greatness of the show. Now, what about you? What was your favorite Private Igor moment on MASH? I look forward to reading your comments. Also, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to my channel, where I talk about the movies, TV shows, and music that I loved while growing up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe out there, and have a great day.